All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's training call. It's a beautiful sunny day in London, in England. So welcome and thanks for your time. You could be out there topping up your tan. Unless you're nicely tan like me, then it's not too much need for that, but we'll need that vitamin D. And so, so tonight's webinar, I'm very excited to be sharing the call tonight with a good friend, Mervyn Barrett, who's a success coach, and I'll let him explain his background and the time we have. Obviously, is not too extensive, but I do want to open up the webinar to him tonight to share the thing that I was posting earlier today. For those of you who saw my email, I mentioned the fact that there's a couple of things I learned last night from seeing Jay Abraham and how he started out. And the first three things he listed when he first got into this, before he went on to make all the billions of dollars through to the value he gave to companies, was the three things that made a massive difference for him. And the first one was finding a coach. Second one was working a plan. And the third one was taking massive action. And so tonight, guys, I want to address the first thing for sure, which is finding how you can coach yourself, coach your mind to give you the results in life that you're after. And so without further ado, let me hand it over to Mervyn. Mervyn, can you hear me okay? Yeah, good to go?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Sounds good.
Fantastic. I just hope that all your listeners can also hear me, and I hope also that they all have pen and paper and are ready to take notes. Writing, by the way, is a superpower. Most people don't realize that. They have no clue as to how deeply impacted we are by what we write. Psychologists call it spreading activation. So first of all, think, then speak, then write. So we think a thing first, and it's in our head, forming, creating, imagining. As soon as we begin to speak that thing, we create even bigger, we get more buy-in, it feels more tangible, it's almost like you can touch it. As soon as you start writing, you give it maximum sensory feeling outside of action. That the action of writing, in fact, feels almost like you're actually taking action. And it allows your thoughts to slow down. It's the slowing down of the thoughts that allows them to spread. Then you can look at them more clearly. We think so quickly, so phenomenally quickly, and I'll share that with you in a little while, that it's impossible to keep up with our thoughts. As soon as you start to write down, it helps you to focus. It helps you to see the bigger picture. So think, speak, write. And just to piggyback on what Brother Leroy was saying there about a coach, because a coach is somebody who is going to be non-judgmental. One of the reasons why you don't get that much value from speaking to friends and relatives and people of your peer group generally is simply because they're like you. So when you are thinking about what it is that you want to do with your life, if most of people have known you all your life as being in a particular way, then they will give you advice based on how they see you. Now, a coach sees greatness. A coach sees everything in you. A coach knows that anything is possible. So they're not going to speak to the small you. They're going to speak to the great you. And yes, sometimes at times they'll even say, no, you can do it. You say you can't, but you can. Now, I've got information here that I'm going to share with you this evening that really, if you take notes and you don't even really need to just take everything on board. I want you to just relax and clear your minds. Don't look for the killer phrase or the killer word. I want you to just open your mind. Just keep it open like a parachute. Okay, fantastic. So we're going to get on then. Just a little bit about me. I'm an inevitability coach. So what that means basically is we all play an inner and outer game. Now, your inner and outer game will always consistently give you action. And action always, always produces results. Now, if you're unaware of how your inner and outer game work, then it's quite possible that the action that you take is going to be action that you don't really want to take, because you don't get it. You don't understand why you're doing it. And I often hear people saying things like, I don't have enough money, classic. I don't have enough time, classic. It's not me, it's my boss, classic. It's the kids, it's the wife. All of those things there, all of those things are, sorry, that's my wife. If you could hear her wonderful voice in the background, I just had to fly after her. But all of those things there are literally distractions. They're almost like excuses. And I don't want to go on too much about it. Suffice it to say that when you are in the middle of focusing, when you're in the middle of endeavoring to create the life that you want, there are some tiny little steps that you want to be taking and steering that huge, enormous brain and mind that you have in the direction that you want it to go. So when it comes to inevitability, I help people to clarify what it is that they want. I help people to structure in a cohesive and coherent manner the inner and outer game. When they are in alignment, you take action that you want to take, thereby producing results that you want. Hence, I call myself an inevitability coach. I will ensure that what it is that you want to achieve becomes inevitable. Okay, so we're here today just to have a look at several areas. And what I want to do, if Leroy, you could just tap the space bar there and have the first slides come up. Hello, Leroy.
Hi, I'm here.
Yeah, can you hit the first slide, because you've got control of the screen.
Bring them all up.
Awesome, yes, please. And also, just give me a time check every now and again, please, Leroy. So the first thing that you really want to look at with these slides, and the next two as well, please, hit it 3 more times.
Okay.
And 1 more. Brilliant. So this very first slide, I normally, oops, go back 1. Okay. My thing is you got to get on the court. And I deliberately chose these individuals. I probably could have chosen a whole bunch of different super duper stars in their own right, in their own sport. And I'll tell you the one thing that they all have in common. I always ask this question, and people say all sorts of things. They're all motivated. They're hard workers. They've done it since they were born. They love what they do. And yes, all of that. Here's the one thing that has these group of individuals and anybody who achieves any success stand out from the rest. They've all, at one time or other, had serious criticism. I mean, like criticism to knock you back. That's the key. That's the juice, if you like, that has individuals who succeed, and everybody else fail. It's almost always down to what's going on inside your head when you hear somebody tell you that you're, as in the gold medalist. Oh, can't remember her name now. It will come back to in a minute. She won the gold medal. They criticized her about her weight, the fact that she's working out because she had a child, all sorts of things.
Ennis.
Andy Murray, we all know. Say again.
Jessica Ennis.
Ennis, yeah, young Jessica, criticized incredibly because of the fact that she had a child, and somebody was alluding to the fact that her backside looked big. Yeah, we all know Andy Murray. I think you remember the famous "anyone but England" phrase. I don't know if you know anything, but the Euros a couple of years ago, or maybe the World Cup, and they said, "Who will you be supporting? Anybody but England?" and he was castigated. Yes, Serena Williams, will know Serena has had a long history of being maligned for being a superstar that she is. Even to this day, the sister is still being maligned. She's, of course, a record breaker. And then David Beckham, who in his time has come under fierce criticism. At one time, they were burning effigies of the man and his whole family because of some footballing error that they perceived he made. So the thing that has these people successful is that fact that they are able to take themselves on. They get on the court. When you get on the court in the game of your life, you will take yourself on. So if you could just swap to the next slide, please. Leroy. Okay, great stuff. Take yourself on. Don't attack yourself. You look at these two individuals there and imagine it's one person shouting at themselves like that. That's what we do when we're not taking ourselves and we're attacking. What I mean by take yourself on is, I mean, you've got to literally really get on the court. Not stay as a spectator in the stands, but get on the court and take a risk. Most people are not prepared, unwilling to take the risk of getting a result. They're so focused on what if I lose, and some people, what if I win, that they're not prepared to get out of the stands and get on the court. When you take yourself on, you simply must take the risk. And here's what you do. You look for the result. To get the result is always going to be win, lose, or draw. There aren't any other results. That's it. All of them are excellent. Of course, a win is the one that we most prefer. But let me tell you, in life, you lose more than you win. You get more no's than you get yeses. You have more failure than success. And that is what I mean about those individuals. They've had more failure than success. But boy, when you get the success, you get it big time. It's about looking at the failure and saying, what can I learn from that? I saw a wonderful phrase the other day from Nelson Mandela. He said, I never lose. I always win or learn. And it's that learning that you've got to do when it doesn't go the way you want it to go. When you don't win, learn. Find out what it is that you did that didn't work. Don't celebrate it, but do look at it. What most people do is say, oh no, I don't want to go anywhere near that loss. It's so painful. When you look at it like it's painful, you don't move towards it. You can't get underneath what you did. You get caught up in a story of what happened. And that allows you to almost excuse yourself. Well, it wasn't really my fault. It was the team. Well, it wasn't really my fault. It was the coach. It wasn't really my fault. It was X, Y, Z. It's my mum, it's my dad. It was my upbringing. All of these things. Because I guarantee you, any upbringing that you have had, it's not unique to you. There are other human beings who have had a worse upbringing, 10 times worse, and have still managed to get further than you, than me, than us. So it's not upbringing. It's not bad parenting. So I'm not saying those things aren't mitigating factors, but if you allow them to be mitigating factors, then you mitigate. Next slide, please. Yeah, you've got to take yourself on, but you've got to take yourself on, not attack yourself, but take yourself on. If you look at these two individuals, you can see they're in what we call rapport. That's you in rapport with you. You are the first person. It's really important that you really recognize that you are the first person who you speak to. If somebody speaks to you, you think they're speaking to you, but you are speaking to you. You're listening to what they say, and then you are interpreting what they say. It's never what they say. It's what you make of what they say. And I'll come a little bit more onto that later on. But it's really, really important that you get to know you. Get to take yourself on. Get to look at you in a really honest, open, and objective way. And be non-judgmental in that process. You allow yourself, when you're honest, open, and objective, and you do it non-judgmentally, then you get to tell the truth. So you can actually live with, I failed. What most people do is they attack themselves over their failure. And then it isn't a thing that failed, it is them. It becomes personal to them. When you personalize something and emotionalize it, you will find that it becomes you and you become it. What you want to do is look at it as something of an action and not an identity. Did you get that? Look at what you do as actions and not identity. Whatever you identify with, you will cling to fiercely, whatever you identify with. So take yourself on. Don't attack yourself, not attack, take yourself on. Next slide, please. To do that most effectively, you've got to focus on yourself. And notice how I separated the your and self, and I'm using a capital S for the big self that's in you, not the small self. See, when most people look in the mirror, they may not quite see something quite as startling as that, but I tell you, the way they speak about themselves, that's what they're looking at. They're looking at some sort of corrupted, awful demon. We are, by nature, we are so unforgiving of ourselves and so harsh on ourselves. We don't connect and engage with ourselves. We don't intimately connect and engage with ourselves. I looked up the word intimacy in a dictionary. What an incredible word. Some of the words that they use to describe what they mean by intimacy, because it's been hijacked by the popular press. The popular press make intimacy mean sex. That's one aspect of intimacy. Intimacy is about love. It's about caring. It's about having an affectionate relationship. And in the dictionary, it says affectionate relationship with other people or other groups. And of course, what it doesn't mention is yourself. And the first port of call is to be in an affectionate relationship with yourself. So don't beat yourself up for what you see as a failure. Start looking at it like a learning. Okay, it didn't work. What can I learn from that? Or say it. Okay, it failed. What can I learn from that? Tell the truth. When you resist the truth of the matter, all you get is more of the same. So tell the truth of your story. What does it say in the Bible? And the truth shall set you what? Free. It's amazing when you're really honest, open, and objective, and you do so non-judgmentally, how powerful you feel when you just get that thing off your chest. What many of us do is we let it in, but then we don't let it out. Everything that happens to you must come in. Your senses dictate that you take information in, you take smells in, you take sights in. Now, when you resist, it stays there. When you accept and you take the truth, you tell the truth of the story, no matter how terrible it may seem, there's a truth to it that empowers you. And that's how you let it out. Next slide, please, sir. Okay, again, focus on yourself. Yeah, look in the mirror. What do you see? Do you see beauty? Do you see a lion? What do you see when you look in the mirror? Most people look in the mirror, they don't like what you see. I'll tell you what, most people don't spend more than about 2-3 minutes looking in the mirror. Now, the great Muhammad Ali just passed away. Awesome character. Awesome. Angelo Dundee said, Muhammad Ali never ever passed a mirror that he didn't admire. I said, what does he mean by that? And then the penny just dropped. He couldn't walk past the mirror without admiring it. Why? Because he was looking at himself. Now, Muhammad Ali was the epitome of somebody who took themselves on. And yes, it was seen as arrogance by so many people. I never saw it like that. My heart pounded when I heard that man say, I am the greatest. I am prettiest. My heart leapt out of my chest to think that a human being could think so much of himself. And notice, I never ever heard him say, I'm the greatest and you're not. And what most people do is through their feelings of inadequacy and deficiency, start looking to say, I'm the greatest and you're not. You can't have this thing about being fantastic in a narcissistic way. If you do that, if you look at it like I'm the king of the hill and everybody else around me is nothing, then you're nothing. I'll touch a little bit about inside out thinking later on. I just want you to know that you are awesome. You are beautiful. You are power. You can do it. Anything. Okay, next slide, please, sir. One of the things that most of us don't really get is why and how. We don't spend enough time looking at why we do something and how we do it. And I say this, I say you want to start looking at why you do something constantly, persistently, and consistently with emotional intensity. And you want to start looking at how you do a thing with the same constancy, persistency, and consistency, with the same amount of emotional intensity. Emotional intensity is like a glue. Another word for emotional intensity, of course, is love. Emotional intensity. Of course, there's an opposite emotional intensity to love, which most people gravitate towards. Now, why is content driven? So most people actually get these two a little bit out of kilter. They spend all their time with the why and very little time with the how. And the why is really important. You've got to know why you want to achieve that goal. What most people say is, why am I doing this? And you can even hear in my voice, there's almost like a kind of apathetic, don't really get what I'm doing. That isn't the sort of why that I'm talking about. There's the why behind your goal. But when I say, why am I doing this? That's not the question to ask. It's how am I doing this? How is the process? The steps that you must take. The why is the, if you like, the conscious part of your mind, focusing on the goal that you want to achieve, and the how are the steps that you must take to achieve that goal. So you want to be content driven and process driven, and also ask the questions intelligently. Ask the questions intelligently. Ask them in a non-judgmental way. Be, again, honest, open, and objective. I often find when I work with clients, I really find that a lot of people are so confused about the why and the how. And again, because they're constantly in this place of attacking themselves, and this is all from past history, attacking themselves, they don't really even get that there's a process to what they're doing. So even something as simple as an emotion, let's say anger. Anger has a why and it also has a how. What most people focus on is the why. And then, why am I angry? Because of what you did, or what she did, or what they said, or because of the color of my skin, or because of my race, or because I'm poor, because I'm rich. Whatever it is, they focus on the why instead of the how. When you stop and say, well, how am I getting so angry? That's a different way of looking at what you're doing. You're no longer focusing on the problem. You're going beneath the problem. What is creating the problem, not the problem? What most people do is focus on the problem. Guys, if there was anything you would take away from this talk, it's focus on what's creating the problem. That's the process. don't focus so much on the content, because the content is something that most of the time is not in your control. The process is, because the process of getting angry involves neurons, it involves heartbeats, it involves breathing, it involves blood rushing around the body, it involves adrenaline. All of those things that I've just spoken about are internal. Every human being has them, but you have yours. Nobody else has your blood. Nobody else has your heartbeat. You have your heartbeat. You're in control of your breathing. What most people don't realize is when it comes to the process, particularly with emotions, that we can do so much more than we actually think. But I'm going to start diverging in a minute, so let me just carry on. The next slide, please.
Sure, Merv, I'm just going to let you know, we've got about 15, 20 minutes tops.
Yay! Okay. Right. So, next one is know your brain, or should I say know the brain. And when you get to know the brain, you can get to know your brain. Guys, get to know the brain. Get to know some of the little things. Don't get all complicated with the thing and have to know all the terminologies. Don't worry about that stuff. Just get to know the basics of how a brain works. And then you get to know more by default of how your brain works. You'll be able to look at that schematic and say, oh, I see that in me. Just be honest, open, objective, and be non-judgmental when you see something. Look at it like a learning, no matter how awful it may seem. Well, I'm always angry, and that's why I see that's coming from my amygdala. Don't start beating yourself up and saying, oh, I'm such a terrible person because I'm always angry. I recognize now that I have always been angry. And now I can see it. Before, I couldn't see it. Now, get underneath the anger. Stop looking at why I'm getting angry and start looking at how I'm getting angry. Stop looking at why I'm feeling fearful. Start looking at how I'm being fearful. Really, really powerful. Next slide, please. I just want to give you a little perspective on size and connections. So the first thing, next one, please. It takes about 11 and a half days to spend £1 million. I'll tell you why I'm doing this later on. Right now, thank you for the next one as well. It takes 11 and a half days. That's spending it at £1 a second, every second, 11 and a half days. Can you see it takes 33 years to spend £1 billion in the same way? So if you were to spend £1 billion at £1 a second, it would take you 33 years. £1 trillion, 33,000 years. Now, why am I saying this? Well, the reason I'm saying this is because inside the skull encased brain, there are 100 billion, around about 100 billion neurons. That is a lot of neurons. That's a lot of brain cells. Now, it isn't so much the brain cells, it's more to do with the connections that they can make. Those 100 billion neurons can make trillions and trillions of connections, because each neuron makes around about anywhere from a couple of hundred to 100,000 connections. What it means is that in terms of connections, we can never run out. We really are infinite. What I mean by that is every single thought that you have, every single movement that you have, from the fluttering of your eyelids to the breathing that you're doing, to the little thing that you saw at the corner of your eye, to the thought that, no, I don't want to do it, or the thought, yes, I do want to do it, all of that is in connections. It's all in connections. That's all it is. It's just a connection. You thinking, what did you just say? What did you just say? Even you thinking that is a connection. So you've got trillions and trillions and trillions of connections inside your head. It would take over 33,000 years for you to use up 1 trillion connections at a connection per second. 33,000 years. You're limitless. You can never ever tell yourself, I can't do it. Yes, you can. You just haven't made the connection in your brain yet. Once you make the connection in your brain, you make it in your body. What most people do is make the fearful connection in the brain. When you make a fearful connection in your brain, where do you think it turns up? It shows up in your body. There's even research out right now that shows how when you think in a certain way, say you think, right, I'm going to go from my upstairs bedroom, I'm going to go downstairs into the kitchen and make myself a cup of tea. When you do that, motor neurons in your brain that are in charge of movement start moving. Even before you've left your bedroom, as you have that thought, the connections are made. So you feel, yeah, I want to have a cup of tea. You literally, the connections that are to do with the gustatory system start moving. The taste buds start moving towards tea. Everything. So before you've even got out of your seat, you've literally already made it. I don't know if you really get the implications of that. Like I said, you think the thought first. So if you think that thought of no, I can't, you feel it in your body. You think that thought of I don't have enough money. It's such a disempowering statement to make. I don't have enough money. You can never move beyond that. A more empowering way is to say, ask the question, what do I need to do to generate more money? Even if there's no way of doing it, just having that as a question. What do I need to do to generate more income? What do I need to do to generate more money? How can I get me some more individuals interested in traffic monsoon? When you start asking questions like that, wow, it really does switch your brain on to your advantage. Next slide, please. And if you could just get up all of these, please, sir. There's 5 or 6 of them. And I think there are 2 more, maybe. 1 more. Awesome, awesome. Your brain is so fast. I kind of alluded to this earlier on. And we have somewhere, as I said, in the region of 100 billion neurons. And I did a little bit of maths on it. I'm a maths teacher, by the way. In my previous existence, I was a mathematics teacher. So this really fascinated me. This is the speed at which neurons move. Just read it with me. How fast neurons fire? One neuron fires 200 times a second. Guys, that's why I said think, speak, write. You don't stand a chance if all you do is think. You will be stuck in your body for the rest of your life. How many cells do they connect? About 1,000. I did the multiplication, I did the maths. 20 quadrillion bits of information fired every second. Guys, we are limitless. We move at lightning speed. You have to work with your brain. Otherwise, it will just do what it thinks is the best. And by the way, the brain is simply a highly organized, sophisticated piece of machinery that's designed for survival. If you allow your brain to do what it does best, it will keep you safe. Now, a trillion years ago, when Triceratops and the Tyrannosaurus Rex were roaming the earth, if you're from that school of thought, well, you actually needed to think about survival above all else. And it really was life and death. But it's not like that now. When you're in your office pushing your pen, or when you're about to say to someone, listen, I've got a little business opportunity I want to talk to you about. That's not life and death. But your brain moving at 20 quadrillion bits of information every second will have you think that it's life and death. So you've got to start to really, like I said, take yourself on, get on the court. And the key to it is to take the risk, because there's no risk. You will not die if somebody says no, or if they say F off. or that thing you've got, it's a scam, it's a trick. You won't die. You just go on to the next person. You actually strengthen your risk-taking muscle. The region of your brain that deals with risks and error detection, you strengthen it by doing more of it, not by doing less of it. You weaken your risk-taking muscles when you do less. When every time you think, I should ask, and you don't ask, you weaken it. Every time you say, I should ask that person, and you do ask, you strengthen it. Did you get that? I really hope that you got that. Okay, next slide, please, sir.
Okay, Merv, last 10 minutes, yeah?
Okay. Oh, man, I got it. I got so much to say. Okay, one neuron. And the next one, please. Brilliant. That's what a neuron looks like. This is one of those things in your brain, an incredible device. The only thing I want you to focus on, the left-hand side at the far left up in that tail-looking thing, that's the transmitter. And then the right-hand side, that big thing called the cell body, and those little leaves hanging off of it, that's the receiver. That's what a neuron looks like in your head. And all that stuff, you've got 100 billion of them. Oh my God, you are awesome. 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 Next slide, please. When they get together, this is what they look like. It's called a neuronal map. Maps are incredible, because they give us the ability to do something over and 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 over again. That's what the map allows us to do. You don't have to make that connection for the first time every time once you've got the map. It's incredibly limiting and incredibly liberating and limitless. So it can limit us and it can liberate us. And again, it's up to you which one you choose. Every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second, you get a choice. You have to exercise your choice muscle along with your risk muscle. You won't die if 100 people tell you no every day. There's like 10 million people in London now. You can't get through all of them in a lifetime. Hello? You won't die. But you create a map, and that map runs your life. That map, that thought that you had in your head is now in your body. And once it becomes a map, oh boy. Next slide, please. Yeah. And again, there you go. Yeah. This is when you get the super highway. So you no longer have a map. You now have a super highway. This is ingrained patternistic behavior, ingrained patternistic thinking. It becomes extremely difficult to dislodge if you don't get yourself, if you don't get what's going on around you, if you don't get what you're doing. So the whole idea of taking yourself on is to really start to become self-reflective, not narcissistic, not anally retentive, honest, open, objective, non-judgmentally. And I'd also say connect and engage. When you connect with yourself, you give yourself an adrenaline rush. When you engage with yourself, you create that in your body. So now you have movement in your head and in your body at the same time. It's really powerful. You just want to know how this is done. Next slide, please. Oh, lovely. Look at that. That's, I don't know if it's the Grand Canyon. It's somewhere there's a ravine. I don't know if you can see, there's a thin rope just there. I would not want to cross that. More than likely, under any circumstances, your brain, when it sees that, this is a connection. That's what your brain sees the first time. Any new thought that you have, any new thought, your brain doesn't see anything. It's literally like that. So the connection's there, and you've got to take the steps. You've got to walk across that. That's what your brain does. It's no way. I'm not going to do that. Every single new thought that you have, every time you get creative, this is what happens. It takes up all your energy. Next slide, please. This is what our brain is used to. Good old-fashioned connection. Nice, strong, safe, comfortable connections. Not even too far when I look down. Next slide, please. Meaning is everything. And here, let me tell you what I mean by that. If you were faced with the first rope on the left, there's probably no way that you would ever walk across it, because you've got meaning. The meaning that you have is that is dangerous. There's no way I would get across that. I would have to be in fear of my life to cross that thing. Or it would have to be that I had to do it for my wife or my kids or my mom, somebody who's going to do something desperate to some member of my family. Then the only way for me to save them is me to get across. Then I'd do it. And that's exactly what I mean about meaning. We put meaning on things. And the meaning that we put on anything creates the push that will have us move towards it, or the pull that will keep us moving away from it. So that rope, that tiny little rope right there, if you're walking on a nice at a hike up in the Highlands somewhere and you see that rope, there's no way you're going to cross it. But if you've got 1,000 crazy mad people behind you want to chop you up into little bits, that rope is suddenly a godsend. You think, thank God for that. You just fly across that thing. And if you look to the one on the right, this is what we're used to. You look at that and think, yeah, no problem at all. I can easily walk across that. It's thick. It looks nice and safe. It's not too far down. But what if waiting at the other end, there was a saber-toothed tiger or some guy with a huge machete in his hand or a gun? You would definitely think twice. Meaning is everything to our brains. It's absolutely everything. So, and the other thing, of course, is that for our brain, for the brain itself, it would rather take the right path every single time because it sees there's no danger there. Your brain is always out to look after you, keep you safe. The left path, it would only take that if you took the what? The risk. When you take the risk, you control your life. If you allow yourself to be controlled by, if you like, certainty, if you allow yourself to be controlled by comfort, you won't take the risk and you'll stay where you are. If you take the risk, you will strengthen your risk-taking muscle. You won't die. There's no life and death situations in the UK unless you're going to walk out in the middle of a road. You walk into your office and your boss says you've got a presentation to do tomorrow. You're now faced with a new task. Your brain sees that right-hand path as a map, as a superhighway. There's no way that it's going to take any effort to go to the left on that single strand. No way. So you have to make that second by second choice. You've got to make it. As I said earlier on, I help clients with this sort of issue all the time. That could be you stuck in your business. That could be you stuck in a relationship. That could be you stuck in a eating disorder. That could be you stuck in anything. I help clients transform that fear into power. That's what I help people to do. I really hope the information, that's it now, Leroy. I hope I've done all right for time. I've barely scratched the pimple of this thing. There's so much more that I'd would want to add, just in terms of some actual steps. Let me give you some, just something that I've picked up over the last few weeks and I've really cottoned on to. If you see my Facebook page, you'll see I mention it regularly, and it's effort, time, practice. Anything that you want in your life, all that stands between you and what you want to achieve is effort, time, practice. When I say effort, again, it's got to be honest, open, objective, and you've got to do it with emotional intensity. You've got to tell the truth of the story. You know, I am putting enough effort in when you know you're not. Only you know you. Nobody outside of the creator could ever possibly know you like you know you. So you've got to be really, really honest with yourself. Not brutally honest. Don't attack yourself. Just be honest. That's the sort of effort you need to put in. Then you need to take time. There's two elements to time. The first element of time is time to let the thing happen. If you put a seed in the ground, it doesn't grow overnight. It's not Jack and the Beanstalk land. When you put a seed in the ground, you've got to leave it. If you keep digging it up, it's not going to grow. You've got to leave it in the ground, tend it, and water it. That's giving it time. And then the other aspect of time is putting the time in. You've got to put time in. If you don't put time in, honestly, it's not going to work. You've got to create that neuronal super highway. That's the sort of time you got to put in. And then the last thing is practice. And most people think practice is perfect. No, it's not. Perfect practice is what will give you better. The only person who, for my mind, is perfect is the creator. The rest of us, we're all looking to move towards that level of perfection. What I mean by practice is you've got to practice like it's happening now. Most people say, I'm practicing for the event. Winners practice as if they're in the event. Then when the event comes around, you know what? You're ready. There's nothing that you haven't faced. Effort, time, practice. Effort, time, practice. So think, speak, write, effort, time, practice. I know this information has been useful to you. If you want to know more, Leroy will give you my details, and I think he's going to perhaps say something about a conference that I'm doing at the beginning of July on a Saturday. It's a personal development immersion training day. It's going to be off the chain. I've got brand new cutting edge information to really get you to know yourself. If you don't get how you work, you know what? You don't get how other people work. And also, they don't get how you work. If you don't get how you work, you can't actually explain yourself effectively. You can't communicate yourself to anybody, and they cannot communicate with you. The more you know yourself, the more you begin to know other people, the more you know your fears, your strengths, the more forgiving you are with yourself, the more forgiving you'll be with other people. The more you cooperate with yourself, the more you want to cooperate with other people. Thank you. Leroy?
Yes, sir. That was awesome. Thanks very much, Merv.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Again, just touching on the iceberg. You know, an iceberg is like 1/8 of it is out of the water. The depth We're all so superficial, Leroy. People say, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm fine. They're not fine. There's all stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's all below the surface. I go deep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love what I do. I love it. I'm passionate about this thing. It's my life. My relationship with my wife transformed through my love of myself and coaching.
Awesome.
It's amazing what you can do when you really get to take yourself on. Sorry, sir. Sorry.
No, it's
Speak,
great.
my brother.
That's great. I love people with passion. Hence the reason why you're on this call tonight. And the for those of you who are not in the UK who are listening to this call, this applies to you as well. You know, the information that Mervyn's sharing, I will make the information available for if you want to connect with him. That you know, physically in another country. I know there's some people from North America on the call. Obviously, you can connect through Mervyn on Skype and other things like that. So I'll make those information available once I send this email out. And if you guys got any questions and things of that nature, I don't know if there's time. I mean, there's only a few minutes left. For if anyone's got any questions right now, they feel free.
I'd love to answer a question or two. Leroy, I also do a free strategy session.
Okay.
It's really powerful. It's free. Half an hour, 45 minutes. I will have you clear. Clarity is power. I'll have you clear on what it is that you want to do and how you can go about taking steps to achieve. You know what? They say clarity is power, and it really is. But you know what beats clarity? Specificity. If clarity is power, then specificity is power in action. It's fine to be clear, but when you have that specificity around what it is that you're clear on, then you feel it in your body. Then you move.
Wow.
It's so simple.
Awesome. Is that a question coming in? Or is that background noise on your side, Murph? I thought it was.
No, but the missus wasn't here.
Okay. All right,
she's gone now.
All right, no problem.
Leroy?
Yeah, hi.
It's Kevin.
Kevin, hi.
Question, when and where in the UK does Mervyn do his training?
Okay, Mervyn, over to you.
Awesome. It's in London. Well, actually, it's Ilford, just outside London. Essex. It's going to be on a Saturday. I think I'm probably going to run them on alternate Saturdays. The next one is Saturday, the 2nd of July. Leroy will give you all the details. I've got a flyer somewhere. I think I've emailed it to him, so I'll probably put that up on the screen as well. Mate, if you're anywhere near my neck of the woods, make your way over there. In fact, if you're anywhere in the UK, come along. Find out. Just come along. All the details are there. There's even in fact, I've deliberately done it like this. I've put 3 pricing structures. The first one is your 60 quid job. That is if you book before the 20th. That's the early bird. And then if you book between the 20th and I think it's the 1st, then you're looking at 80 quid. And if you rock up on the day, it's £100. Space is limited. I've probably got space for no more than 25 to 30 at absolute max. So it will be first come, first served. There's 2 reasons why I'm doing the early bird. The first thing, of course, is I want numbers because I'm putting on refreshments for the whole day, including a meal. So I do want to know, a lunch rather. So I do want to know what the numbers are. But the second reason is I want people to start taking over their life. Most people, their life overtakes them. But when you take over your life, you start to get ahead of yourself. So you book things in advance. One of the things I started to do was look at why I was continually arriving late to places. And I said, right, I can see I'm arriving late because I don't leave on time. Now, for me, on time is to get there like 10, 15, at least 20 minutes, no less than 15 minutes ahead of time, because when you get there and you're that sort of on time, you get to know where the loos are. You get to sit where you want to sit. Like when I get to church, you know, sometimes I arrive near the family just at the last possible minute. I don't get to sit where I like to sit. They just tell me you can only sit over here. When I get there ahead of time, and that's what I mean by on time, I get to sit where I want. You know that feeling when you're on your way to somewhere and you've already made the arrangements? It's real power. There's no tension in me when I'm doing that. I take over my life. When you don't take over your life, I promise you, your life overtakes you. You've got to start to claim your life back. You've got to start to take over your life. Otherwise, it will overtake you. Can't get anywhere on time. Ain't got enough money. No patience. Can't stand talking to people. Everyone gets on my nerves. Can't connect with people. Not engaged in anything. Life's boring. Jealous of people. Want this car. Want that home. I've got the finances. All that sort of stuff. That's just life taking you over. And it's your life that's taking you over. You have to take over your life.
Mm-hmm.
Come along. Okay. And also book a complimentary session. Book a free session. It'll cost you nothing. And I promise you, it'll be 45 minutes of well spent, well invested time.
Okay. So you hear that? We'll like I said, we'll make that those Mervyn, your details available for all of those on the call. Any last questions before I bring this meeting to a close? See Mervyn there said the other Mervyn gave you a shout out to the yeah, you've done just
my namesake.
Yeah.
Tell him I'm 54 this year, so I'm older than him. So tell him I'm the governor.
You don't know that.
Yeah, well, I heard his voice. He sounded younger than me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, brilliant. Well, guys, thank you for your time tonight. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes closing this call out with a couple of updates for the business. And you know, like I said, you know, once again, real thanks to Mervyn for sharing that invaluable information. You know, as I said in the email that I sent out today, you know, the first three things that, you know, was gleaned, what I learned last night from listening to Jay Abraham was, you know, how he got started. And the main thing for him was finding a coach, finding somebody who could help him get to where he wanted to be in life and working your plan. So it's great having that, what Mervyn spoke about, that clarity, that power, and I won't even pronounce the other word he said there. And then three, taking massive action. Those were the three things that, you know,
specificity.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll let you say that. You know, taking massive action once you're clear on where it is that you go down. And so I thought that was really kind of standout moments there. So that's why I really want to get into this call tonight. Last thing, let me just mute. Merv, I'm going to mute you. You sound like you're
Go ahead.
The place, but feel free to unmute.
Okay.
I know you're excited. So, you know, the other thing that I kind of stood out for me, and again, I put it in the email I sent out, was the fact that it's a statement that I've heard Jay talk about before, and I loved it so much. I thought I've got to send this out because it's something that it's all about choice. Again, that the thing that resonated from Mervyn's talk here tonight was that Jay said this statement, and I was like, yeah, it's so true. And people have a choice, but they take their choice, the easiest choice, rather than taking a choice that may require some growth on their end. And it was, why would you go down the road of mediocrity when you can go down the road of excellence? I was like, wow. And I wrote that down. I was like, that is so profound. And it's not just a case of, yes, a nice statement. It is really those decisions, those choices people make come down to that. You know, a lot of people are living less than they could be. You know, they're living mediocre lifestyles and mediocre lives, settling for less than what they're really capable of. And as you heard tonight, you know, the amount of neurons that get fired, you know, the things that we can do, the things that have been created within us, are we really using that capacity, our brain capacity, to even the level to, you know, to really say that we have done what we feel we've been called for, you know, and our passion and our goals and our ambitions and everything else that goes along that. So in wrapping up this call, guys, just want you to really embody that. I'm going to give you Mervyn's information, you know, take advantage of that generous offer, 30 to 45 minutes, so that you can actually carve out something for where you want to be. And, you know, for those of you guys serious about, you know, what we're doing with Traffic Monsoon, you know, I mentioned over the weekend, you know, this whole thing about being a diamond and what it takes to be a diamond, you know, in our business is basically you're touching other people's lives. You're making a difference, you're making an impact. And so I will be putting together some form of training for those of us who really want to build that kind of income, and just you know, committed people, you know, a handful at a time, and let's take it to that next level to see who we can make an impact with our business, and in the meantime, you know, growing ourselves. So what's the time now? So it's just after the hour. I'm going to get the recording out to you guys. For those of you who are in London, obviously the next meeting we're doing will be next week, Tuesday, in Wembley, and I am looking at a venue in East London. So that will be taking place hopefully very soon. I'm just waiting to get more information on that, and we will let the information come out for you guys who've got people across the capital. So with that said, guys, I'm going to call it a wrap. Unless anybody's got any last requests or forever hold your peace, as the statement goes. And yeah, I think we're good. There's no messages there. I'm just going to mute you, Merv. So if you want to say your last good nights, let me unmute you there.
Yes. Hello.
All right.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Awesome. I just really want to echo some of the things you said there, Leroy. It's just so important to realize that you are limitless. You're limitless. There's a depth to you. There's an inner core that you have. Once you get to that inner core, then you get to sculpt, like an art form, the world that you want to create for you and for those who are important to you and dear to you. You get to impact the world. You get to contribute in such an incredible way. Once you get to that deep inner core of you. Oh, I'd love to speak with you guys personally.
Awesome. Yes. All right, my man. Well, thank you very much, Merv. Thanks everyone on this call tonight, wherever you've dialed in from. I appreciate giving up your hour for you.
Yeah. You know that meeting that you're going to do in London, please see if you can just get me a 5, 10, 15, 20 minute slot or something in there.
Okay.
For those who can't make the my Take Yourself On conference, the emotion training, personal development thing. Sure.
Okay, I'll let you know what we're doing in Hackney that may fit on that.
If that can fit, that'll be fantastic.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good evening. Have a great week. Yeah, and let's connect and let's make a difference out there. All right?
Yes.
All right. God bless you all.
All right, Leroy. Bless up.
Thanks, man.